Hi, Elaine here. Today I'll be sharing just how quickly and easily you can create and format tables in Affinity Publisher. We'll be creating a repurposable table format to style a chessboard. I have created a file ready for this demo purely to save time, but I will be starting from scratch with the table. So moving to a blank spread, the first thing I'm going to do is manually create two global colours. There are multiple types of palettes within Affinity Publisher. There are document palettes, application palettes, and if you're on a Mac, system palettes. In addition to that, you have Pantone palettes available. By default, there are no document palettes created. That will happen automatically when you create a global colour. Now my global colours that I need are very simple. So burger menu, add global colour. The first one of these is going to be white. So setting my hex code to all the Fs and add. The next one is going to be black. That's even easier. Add global colour. It's already set to black and I just need to name it. Normally I wouldn't call a global colour by the colour that it is. But in this example, because it's a chessboard, black squares mean something, white squares mean something. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be black, they could be another colour. So we now have a document palette and we have two global colours. Next thing we're going to need is the table. So moving across to the table tool, and I will zoom in on the page and add a table. Now to be a chessboard it needs to be 8 by 8. So putting 8 in for the columns and moving down, specifying 8 for the rows. Then selecting all of those cells. Then I'm going to be using the table panel. If the table panel isn't showing for you, you need to go to Window, you need to go down to Table, and there are two options in here, Table and Table Formats. We will be using both of them, so I already have them open. Right, what I need the table panel for is to make sure that the cells, which are currently a random size, are actually 20mm by 20mm. And now it's starting to look more like a chessboard. And I am actually going to put that at 30mm down so it matches everything else. But the precise placement is completely up to you. Now I'm going to add a shape just to prove a point here, which could do with not being black. What I'm going to do with that is put the table on top of it, and that will show you that by default a table has no fill. My first step is to actually select all of the cells and to make sure that the fill on these is my white squares. Now I know we don't want all of the squares white, but it's far easier to apply either white or black to all of them and then apply the other colour as the exceptions. So now we don't need the pink background, that's rather lurid. Now when I made a selection of these cells to apply the white background, that selection is known as a contiguous selection, where the cells border each other. But to select just the black cells, what I need to do is make a non-contiguous selection. So I'm clicking in B1, I'm holding the Command key down, which will be Control on Windows, and I'm selecting the cells that need to be black. Now obviously there's quite a few of them, 32 to be precise. But as long as you hold that Command or Control key down, it's a simple matter of making the selection. With them selected, I can then go back to my stroke and fill, and this time choose the black squares global colour. One more thing I'll do with this is to select the whole thing. And what I'm going to do is put a border around the cells, just the outside edge. I do want it to be black, but I don't want to just leave that cell stroke fill set at black. I need to make sure that it's my black squares global colour. And then I want to make the stroke bigger than that. So at least 2.5, maybe even 3. Let's go for 3 so we can see it better. And we now have our beautifully formatted table. Couple of things to think about with this, and that is if I click in one of these cells, I'll make it a white one, and I put a character in it so we can see it. It's in the top left corner of the cell. It would be better down the line if these cells were aligned vertically to the middle, which I can do from my table panel. So centre align it vertically, and also make sure that it's centre aligned in terms of the text. To prove that that has worked, click in a cell, put an X in it, and you can see it is in the middle. That's worth remembering. It won't stay there, but that's a spoiler. So I have my perfectly formatted table. The next thing to do is to select the table and go to the table formats. There is already a table format in here. This is the default one. What we need to do is to create a completely new one based on the format we've applied to that table. So up to the burger menu, and you have some options in here. The one we need is add format from selection. This isn't the only way to create a table format. The option underneath, create new format, would enable us to do it completely from scratch. But why would we do that? We've already formatted the table, so adding it from the selection is by far the fastest way to do it. We now have a table format that hopefully will enable us to replicate what we've done without having to manually repeat the work. Back in my Pages panel, I'm moving down to pages 4 and 5, where I have two naked tables. So selecting the first one, and then going back to my table format, and all I'm going to do is click to apply this. I'll repeat the process on the right-hand page, click to apply, and I don't think you could format a table faster than that. Now let's have a look what is involved in a table format. The table format we've created has its own burger menu. One of the options is to edit it. It's a bit of a scary dialog box. First thing to do for what we've done is to change the name from Format 1, which tells us absolutely nothing, to Chessboard. And I'm just going to explain what is in here. I am not going to go into this in any great detail. We would be here for a lot longer. But underneath the name, we have the structure, which is defining what that table will look like. Underneath that, we have the frame, so it can have a fill, a stroke, the insets. Then within the middle, we have cell formats. So what it's done is it's created individual formats for many of those cells. What is displayed on the right-hand side is very much dependent on which cell format you have selected. At the moment, it's got Format 3 selected. If I was to go into here and click Format 6, what we see on the right-hand side would change based on the format within Format 6. As I say, you can get very complicated in here. If you would like a deeper dive video, let me know in the comments below. Happy to do that. We will be back in here shortly. But that's what we have in there at the moment. Now I'm going to use these two chessboards to show something related. Best practice, really. So first of all, I'm going to open Affinity Designer. And in Affinity Designer, I have a set of chess pieces. We don't really need to see the chessboard in here. That's just for positioning. So I could actually turn that off. You can see it's locked anyway. But these pieces need to be added to our chessboard. I've put a link in the description where you can download these for yourself. I'm copying that and then going back to Affinity Publisher and pasting those chess pieces in. And it looks amazing. They're in the right place. They're in the right place because the Affinity Designer file happened to be the same size. I made sure it was. But here's a problem. If what you want to do with these pieces is show a particular move or chess position, so I think we can move him up 1 or 2, can't we? As I'm moving it, I'd need to be incredibly precise for that not to look wrong. So that is slightly out. A far better way to work is what I've actually done on the right-hand side. So you saw me format the table, but within that table, these are the pieces on the left-hand side of the board, all of them. So if I grab hold of those and create a group of those, and make sure we know that that's the left-hand side, this table, it happens to be on the right-hand side. Within here, inside the table, I have a whole set of chess pieces. So toggling on the view, and there they are. You should easily be able to see that there is a difference here. And that is these pieces are within the cells. So if I select it and I move it to another cell, it's locked within the cell. There are two reasons why that is a really good idea. Moving the chessboard on the right moves everything inside it. So click away, click on the board, move it, all the pieces move with it. On the left, if I click on the board and I move it, the pieces do not move with it. That would be a living nightmare. So, how you get them inside the cells is manual. You select it. In this case, I'll cut it. I will click in the cell and I will paste. And that will put it inside the cell. You should at this point be looking at that and saying, Elaine, something's gone wrong. And indeed, it has. Let's go back to that table that we formatted originally, which was this one on page 2. When I went in there and I clicked in a cell and I typed something, it was in the middle, both vertically and horizontally. If I pasted in that chess piece that I've just copied, it would put it in the middle. But when we formatted these two, it seems to be ignoring the fact that I set it to the middle. I wanted it centre aligned. There is a reason for that. So let's have a look what's causing that. I'm going back to the table formats and I am editing it. And the one thing we need to look at in here to see what is causing this problem is right down at the bottom on the right hand side, it says text. And it's using a style called table body, which is the default style in all Affinity files for text within a table. That is the issue. So let's close that and go to our text styles. And I have this showing as a hierarchy, so everything hangs off the base style. Then we have the body style. Within the body style, we have table body. So right-clicking on that and editing table body, what we're interested in is the alignment of the paragraphs, and it says no change, which means it's inheriting it from its parent style. How do we know which is its parent style? Well, there's two ways. One is to click on Style, and in the General section it will say Based on, and it's telling us its body. If you are showing the hierarchy, as I do, you will be able to see that table body is subordinate to body. So let's have a look at the body style. So there's the body style, and edit that. If we go to the paragraph, it's saying no change to the alignment, so it's not defined in here either. But in the style, we can see that this is based on base, which is the very top level style. So now we know where it's defined. So going up to base, edit base, down to paragraph, it's left aligned. Now, we don't want to change the base style because the base style is feeding through to a whole series of other styles that may well need to be left aligned. What we want here is to have an exception for our tables. So back into the table body, click on Edit. In the paragraph, where it's saying no change to the alignment, I am going to say Centre Align it. And as soon as I do that, don't even have to click OK. Everything is centre aligned in my table. If I click in it and I put my X in it, you can see it is centre aligned now. And it is centre aligned in all of them. So that is the fix for that little issue. Right, now making changes to our table formats. Going back to the pages so we can see the multiple pages here. And I do have an extra one, so let's format that as well. So making sure it's selected, table formats, click there and apply. Right, now we've got 4 of them. So the first way that I can edit this is not touching the table format because we have global colours. So into my black squares here, in fact probably 4 and 5 is the best place to be, isn't it? Into my black squares global colour and editing that, and as I make changes to it, it not only updates the table I may have selected, but if we look at the Pages panel, it updates all of them. That is what you would expect with a global colour. And while this is probably going to end up completely hideous, let's change the white ones to yellow. And if you had this set in a 500-page book all about chess, it would update every single one. But that is only changing the colours, which happen to be global colours. But if we go back to our table format and we edit that, changes that we make in here will also ripple through. So let's say on the frame, I want to put a stroke on it. Oh, yeah, that lurid pink thing. That'll do nicely. At the minute it's set to none, so I'll make it solid. and I'll make it big enough so we can see it. And click OK. Although it has added it, I think it might need to be even bigger than that. So let's go back in and make it absolutely huge. That should be hideous enough. Oh, indeed it is. Now, going back to the Pages panel, something odd has happened. Right, the ones on pages 4 and 5 have a hideously lurid border. The one on page 6 has the border as well. What happened to page 2? You could pause the video and have a think, but why don't I just tell you? Right, this was the table, the first one that we formatted, and we made a table format from it. What we didn't do was then apply that table format to it. So although the global colours will update, because that's what global colours do, any changes we make to the table format will not be applied, unless we apply the table format to it. So selecting the table and going to table format, you can see our lurid pink border on the preview. What I'm going to do with this one, you have an option to apply the chessboard, but you also have an option to override any local formatting. So if you have a table that you have manually formatted, like we did this one, that's the best option to choose. It makes sure that there's no clashing styles in there that could give you inconsistent results down the line. So choosing override local, it will then apply that. If I go back into my table format and I edit it, so let's change that stroke to, oh, how about the black squares one? Not quite so hideous. And we go to our pages, you can see that it has applied to all of them now. Last thing to consider. And for this, I'm going to need a new file. Any file will do, that is fine. I will put in a table. Just for consistency's sake, I will make it look as the other one did. So we need 8 columns, we need 8 rows. Each one was 20 millimeters. Right, so this is a completely new file. Table formats live within a file. They are not something that you create that lives inside Affinity Publisher. Now that contrasts with object styles from the Styles panel, irrespective of the file you have open. So if we have a table format in one file, we need a mechanism to transfer it to subsequent files. And we do have that. So what I'm going to do is save that file that I've been working on, go to my new file. You cannot export table formats. So if we go into our burger menu, you can see there is no export option. That's fine though, we don't need one because we have an import option, which was why I just saved the file. So in here, import formats, there is the file that I have just saved. Open that and it lists the names of any table formats it finds. If there are conflicts with this file, which there won't be because there are no table formats other than the default, you will be given an opportunity to rename it. All I need to do is click OK and it will be imported. To apply it, select the table, click on Table Formats and it will apply. One warning regarding table formats, and it's a serious one. Don't get over enthusiastic when you're tidying your file. If you delete a table format, all the tables formatted with that table format are returned to their naked state. Let's see it in action. In the Table Formats panel, there's the table format we've created. Clicking on its own burger menu, and there is the option to delete it. So I'll delete it. Not only did it vanish from the 2 tables that we have shown there, back in the Pages panel, you can see it's actually reset all of them. So there's pages 2 and 3, 4 and 5, and the last one that was on page 6. Going back to the table formats and going to undo. Luckily, undo is your friend, presupposing that that option is still available. Thing to take away? Be careful, don't get too over-enthusiastic. Only delete table formats when you're absolutely certain that you're no longer using them. And there you have it, table mastery with table formats. Quick recap. The easiest way to create a table format is to manually format a table and then add it to the table formats via the burger menu. To apply it to subsequent tables, make the table and click on the relevant table format from the table format panel. You can edit table formats. You can get as advanced as you like with that. And while you can't export them, you can import them to other files. Be aware of the gotchas, like the fact that some formatting is applied at table level and other formatting is coming from text styles. If you want new tutorials and tips and tricks on a regular basis, check out my free training at elainegiles.com/VIP. Hit the subscribe button and notification bell so you don't miss future tutorials. And if you have any requests for specific tutorials, be sure to contact me. I would love to hear from you. Thanks for watching and see you next time.